It's time for another Out of Bounds Rewind with Bo Bounds on ESPN 105.9 The Zone.
John, Greg Cosell, NFL Films, compares Tua to Drew Brees. You buying or selling?
I was talking to Greg the other day, actually, and we were talking more about defensive backs and stuff, but I've read some of his evaluations on the quarterbacks too, and Greg does awesome work, and I think he understands the position really, really well. Comparisons are tricky because, you can get a comparison kind of in your head after, 2 or 3 plays, and it becomes a little bit hard to shake that level of comparison. And, it's kind of like, oh, he's like him except for this and this. And so I struggle with comparisons. I think there's some ways that Tua and Drew Brees are probably similar. I struggle with comparisons in general because
Sure.
I find that for me, they don't really aid my evaluation process as much. So, if Greg says it, I think that there's probably a lot of truth to it. And I haven't spent a ton of time on Tua, but watched a ton of them live and a little bit of them studying him too. And I see the accuracy that people are talking about. I see Brees. I think what Tua has to become better at is, can he move? And this isn't really his fault, but in Alabama's offense, you talk about the scheme a little bit when I was mentioning with Burrow. With Tua in Alabama's offense, it was his first read was just open all the time, whether it was the receivers just being good or the scheme. And so we have to see how he moves through progressions and whether he can maintain poise in that process of moving through progressions, which Brees is
That's a great point.
See,
that's where, John, we're right here in we're 2.5 hours away from Baton Rouge, 2.5 hours away from Tuscaloosa. We've been there a million times. Of course, Starkville and Oxford is right here too. So we live in this 4-team SEC West universe. Mm-hmm. That's the one thing that I ask, because I don't know what you know, or Greg, for that matter, Cosell, who I think is brilliant. When you're surrounded by 4- and 5-star wide receivers like Burrow and Tua, that's my only hesitation on the whole thing. I get it. They're both really, really good. That's just my only hesitation. Is it yours at all or no? Obviously, it's not with what you just said about Burrow.
Right. Yeah. I think it's something you have to consider if you're just looking at the production. But once you look at the tape, I think it's kind of easy to distinguish. Okay, well, like this guy made a great catch on a throw, but the throw is perfect, and so that's really all you need to evaluate the quarterback off of. Most time it works the other way, where a quarterback played well, but the stats are bad, and so you wonder if the other guys were the reason that the stats were bad. But when the stats are good, it's and not only the stats, but the stats and the tape are good, then it's more likely that both guys are just doing their job, and that's how it should work. And in an ideal world, that's how it'll work in the NFL too. And we talk about the 4- and 5-star receivers, and that's true, but their guys in the NFL are pretty good too. And so I think it's become that to me more than anything, what that shows to me is the importance of surrounding even a talented quarterback with great talent, because it is a team game. That's what it is, and the quarterback can do their job extremely well. But it doesn't matter. You don't reach what LSU did this past season if the rest of the team isn't on point as well. So, and that's Andrew Luck's career is a great example of that.
Sure.
A player that, for the most part, throughout his career, did everything right. And even when the numbers didn't really look that great for him, it was way more about Ryan Grigson kind of destroying any chance that he had of fielding a competent team. And he still carried them to the playoffs a couple times when they had one of the worst rosters in the league. And so I think that's the biggest takeaway to me, is that it's so important to surround even the best quarterbacks with good players. So Alabama did that on offense, and because of that, there were some things about Tua that might be unknowns. But at the same time, I think that mentally there aren't many questions about him off the field. The whiteboard and stuff like that. I think he checks those boxes. So that could lead to a career that ends up looking something like Drew Brees if he's able to stay healthy and refine those other aspects of his game. But I think Drew Brees is the top 5 quarterback of all time. So it is tough to make that parallel.
Sure.
If a player reaches his peak, maybe, but it's just tough to make that comparison.
Jon Ledyard, PewterReport.com on the Miller Lite guest line, talking NFL draft this Thursday through Saturday. John, if you had to bet $100, Tua's off the board in the top 4, yes or no?
No, I don't think so.
Okay.
I just actually finished a mock draft that went up this morning at PewterReport.com, and I have a bunch of trades in it. And I had Tua actually falling to 21, and the Saints jumped up a couple spots to get ahead of the Patriots to draft him. And it's very possible. Here's the thing about
John, you just rocked our world, and I love it, okay? Because this is a Saints town. New Orleans 2.5 hours away from us. So you just Like, I don't know how
That's
many
grease on the
people,
fire.
but a lot of people just ran off the road, whoever's not sheltering in place. Okay.
Well, the thing I think about it is that I just think right now with the way that things are with COVID-19 and medical reports, I just am not sure that teams feel as comfortable as they normally do about the medical process with a lot of players. Tua has also been banged up consistently throughout his career at Alabama, whether it was the ankles. I think there was another injury too. I can't remember. And then obviously the hip, which is a major injury. I just think the teams are like, I don't know if this guy can stay healthy. But here's the thing about quarterbacks. There's only a couple teams looking for a quarterback in the first round, which adds to the whole complexity of this year. Normally we have 7, 8, 9 teams that are looking for a quarterback, and they could all pull the trigger on one. This year, I mean, you literally have 2 teams across the league, the Bengals and the Dolphins, who don't know who their starter is going to be. Maybe throw the Patriots into that mix too, although it seems like they want to ride or Stidham. But, I mean, those are the teams right now that are looking to draft their starter in this class. So if the Bengals aren't going to draft Tua, so if then the Dolphins don't draft Tua, I have no idea where he could go. I mean, he could fall into the 20s, not because teams don't think he's good, but because nobody really needs a quarterback. It's just kind of how the landscape of the league is right now. So I think he could be due for a slide because of a bunch of different factors that are unusual for this year's draft compared to other drafts in the past. But like I said, it only takes one team, and the part of the other intrigue of it is that the Patriots and the Saints are 2 of the teams in the 20s most likely to trade up for him if he were to fall, because they're 2 of the only teams that could be like, okay, we need to think about the future of quarterback. But neither of them have many. The Patriots have a ton of picks, but no second-round pick and a bunch of late third-round picks.
Saw that.
And the Saints are teams that they don't have a second-round pick either, and they have just a third and a fourth, so they don't have a lot of ammo. So it brings the whole conversation in light of, is the 2021 draft in play for trying to make a lot of, or retrading a lot of 21 picks because teams already are kind of uneasy about the process in this year's draft. Maybe they'll find next year's picks more valuable. So that'll be part of one of the fascinating things to see if Tua starts to slide. Are teams willing to kind of pass on this year's draft for more picks in next year's class? And that could benefit the Saints and the Patriots in terms of moving up if that's the case.
Don't miss one moment of the Out of Bounds Show with Bo Bounds. Weekdays, 7 a.m. till 10 a.m. on ESPN 105.9. The Zone.